Hey, super scientists. We're looking at Micro 2, and we're going to be talking about viruses and characteristics of viruses. I love this image. This is a picture of a bacteriophage. So a lot of people, when you think about infectious diseases and you think about viruses, think that people are the only organisms that can get viruses or can get different infectious diseases, and that's not the case. Plants can get infectious diseases, lots of different animals, and even bacteria. So this is a bacterial cell that is being infected by this bacteriophage. Bacteriophage is a virus that infects bacteria. So what are some characteristics of viruses? Viruses are considered to be non-living. They're considered non-living because they cannot do any of the things that living organisms can do. They can't reproduce on their own. They can't obtain energy on their own. They have to use a host. So they don't use their own energy to grow. They use their host cell. They can't make food. They're going to rely on their host cell for energy. They can only replicate, they can only reproduce inside of the host cell using the host cell's energy. And they're going to be named for the disease that they cause or what they infect. For example, smallpox is the virus that causes smallpox. The tobacco mosaic virus causes the tobacco mosaic disease in tobacco plants. HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. All viruses are going to have two basic parts. One part is the protein coat. Now the protein coat in this image is going to be this red capsule that has these little blue proteins on it. So the protein coat is going to be what allows for the virus to attach to the host cell, and it's going to be through what is referred to as the lock and key method. So if you wanted to enter your house, you would need a specific key in order to open the door to go into your home. So that's the same thing with viruses. In order for a virus to attach to a host cell, it has to have the right receptors. It has to have the right proteins to attach these little protein receptors, these cell surface proteins. And if it does not have the right key, if it does not have the right proteins, then it's not going to be able to attach to it. And that's why people don't get diseases like the tobacco mosaic virus, because tobacco mosaic virus is only going to have the proteins that can attach to the cells on the tobacco plants. The second part of viruses is going to be the inner core, and the inner core is going to be made of genetic material. And we see that as a squiggly stuff in this image. So the genetic material for a virus, depending on the type of virus, is either going to be DNA or RNA. So how are parasites and viruses similar? We've talked about parasites earlier on in this unit, and now we're talking about viruses. So here's some lovely pictures of some of the parasites that we talked about. So how are parasites and viruses similar? Because a virus and a parasite are both going to require a host, and it's also going to harm that host or can even kill the host. So though in those two ways, parasites and viruses are similar. How do viruses reproduce within the host cell? There's two different methods. So it's either going to be an active virus or a latent virus. And you can see that in these images here comparing that. So if it's an active virus, then it's going to attach to the host cell and it will inject its genetic material, and it immediately is going to trick the host cell into making copies of it. So that will quickly cause the host cell to be killed, a quick death of the host cell. Latent viruses, however, are a little bit trickier. Latent viruses can hide within the host cell for a while. So what happens is the virus is going to inject its genetic material, and the genetic material of the virus will merge with the host cell's material, so that every time the host cell replicates, it's going to copy the virus's DNA or RNA, its genetic material as well. And then eventually some kind of stressor will be placed on the latent virus or placed on the host cell, and that will activate the latent virus. So at that time, the host cell will start replicating the virus. So a latent virus can be hidden within the host cell for months or years even.